All right.
All right, we're back with another special edition for you. We've got a special industry guest. He is running a label within a bigger label and lots to talk about. Here we are. Please welcome from TLG-ZOID Entertainment. It is PeterTsiolis. Hey,
Hey,
Peter.
how are you, Jay?
We get the whole experience, man, driving in Chicago here. We love it.
I may get shot. I should be ducking
You might be
from
doing a
bullets, right?
drive-by that we can
Yeah,
document here.
that's right. That's right. I got my phone propped up here, so if it falls, I'll try to readjust it.
Oh,
Look, there it goes.
oh, look at that.
Yeah, I'm trying to readjust the phone while we drive. Can you see me?
I can. How far do you got to drive today?
I
What's the
have to
distance?
try. It's about 40 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we'll bear with you. Peter, give us a little bit of background, how you came up in the industry, what your stops and steps were before this new label venture.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an interesting, convoluted story. It starts back in 1985. I'm a pretty young kid. A buddy of mine, Ray, is a drummer. We're in grammar school. My brother's a singer. They form a band, and with a guy named Steve Sacco. And the next thing you know, they start writing this really aggressive new style of music in the genre that wasn't even coined that yet, crossover thrash metal.
Okay.
And I have no musical talent, nor do I pretend to have any. I had a drum set when I was a kid, when I was really young, and my dad was nice enough and kind enough to go out and buy me this really expensive Ludwig. And the next thing you know, can you still see me? Is my
Yeah.
camera off?
Yes.
Yeah. So the next thing you know, I'm trying to play drums and I'm really shitty at it. And I meet Ray and I'm like, oh my God, this kid could play entire albums at 12, So I never had aspirations of being a musician. And they formed this band and I started managing them at an early age,
Sorry.
And the next thing you know, I'm managing them and they get these deals, these record deals from these indie labels, small indie labels in the thrash world, and none of them were what we thought were good enough. I always wanted to be a lawyer, so the next thing you know, we signed a deal to a label called Big Chief, and that label goes bankrupt in the middle of the recording process. So we formed ZOID Entertainment, at the time called ZOID Recordings, to make sure that we could release this record. We had no money. It took 4 years to pay the studio bill off and all that, but we said we're going to do it our way. And that's how ZOID Entertainment becomes ZOID Recording and becomes ultimately just what it is now, ZOID. So it starts as a one-off project to fund and release a record back in the 80s, early 90s, and it grows from there. By 1998, we released a record on Interscope under Mother God Movie Star, and that was part of a Interscope ZOID Entertainment joint venture on that release. And then I managed a band called Soil that you probably have heard of.
Yeah.
And got them their record deal on J Records back in 2000. Clive Davis and James Diener signed them, and that was the management arm of it. And then managed a couple other bands and did some other stuff along the way. And then back in 2010, this Aftermath record that we released back in 1994 was getting reissued in Japan and China and all these different places. So ZOID Entertainment had to do some deals with them to do these co-licensing deals in Europe and so on and so forth. And back in 2019, Aftermath, after a long hiatus, comes back and records this record called There Is Something Wrong. And that's how I meet the famous and infamous Denny Sanders. Because we partnered to release that record on his label, the Label Group, as a co-venture between ZOID Entertainment and the Label Group through Ingrooves Distribution. And we put that record out in 2019, and we then put a subsequent album out in 2023 called No Time to Waste by Aftermath. And along the way, Denny and I kept on talking about, hey, man, there's a lot of labels that don't do it right. They don't treat the artist right. They don't let them be creative. They rip them off. We should do a label that's done the right way. And we should merge our two labels into doing that. And we always talked about it being a rock and metal label because Denny specializes in doing other things as well. He does country and pop and all that stuff. I have no interest in releasing country records or pop records. It's the rock and the metal stuff. So we kept on talking about it. And then we got this opportunity to really turn it into a merger with this incredible Morrison project by Billy Morrison, which we are fortunate enough to be releasing today digitally. So
Wow.
that's how,
So
that's
was
the genesis.
did you already know Billy, or was he shopping this around? How did this happen?
No, I didn't know Billy at all. As a matter of fact, I guess Billy gets introduced to Denny by someone. Billy had recorded this record during the COVID insanity with a bunch of his friends, and he was looking to find somebody that would put it out and treat him like the way it should be treated, fairly and all that stuff. So somebody said, "Hey, Denny seems to be pretty cool with this kind of stuff." And because it was harder edged and a little more aggressive in certain respects, he goes, "Hey, let's do this on TLG-ZOID. Let's form the label now and do it." I go, "Sounds like a great plan." Even without hearing the record at that point, I said, "Yeah, dude, I'm in." Especially when he said, "Yeah, Steve Stevens and Ozzy Osbourne and all these great celebrities and Corey Taylor are going to be on it." I'm like, "What?" So we were fortunate enough that somebody spoke highly enough of Denny to bring this into the family. So that's how that all worked out. And then we got lucky that the record is as great as it is.
Absolutely. We got the single Crack Cocaine out there making a lot of noise. Of course, you've had the Drowning single, and now the full album out digitally with more to come with physical next month. Talk about, working with Billy. Obviously, he's in the mix with Ozzy. They're like best of friends. So he's got that whole track to run on. And of course, he plays in Billy Idol's band with Steve Stevens. So
Yep.
they're hanging out with a who's who in the rock world, and he's got this little pet project that he's nurturing along. And Ozzy hasn't made a record in a while, so he's like, "Yeah, what the hell? Shit, I'll jump on it." And it's taken off. So talk about, of course, he's he's got a lineup of Billy Idol, Corey Taylor, DMC, Al Jurgensen, Steve Vai, Linda Perry, Tommy Clufettos, John Five. It seems like a perfect storm. Somebody that you don't have to go out and secure those artists. These are all friendly favors to him.
You know what? If you listen to that, right, and somebody gives you that rundown of artists, you're like, "Come on, that can't be right. You can't have all these artists on one record and make it sound great." It reminds me of some of those great Slash records where he brings all his friends and they make
Yeah.
great music together. Billy, from all accounts, from everybody, he's just a great guy that everybody wants to jam with, and he's fortunate enough to surround himself with some great friends. But you know what, man? At the end of the day, and I keep saying this, I go, he wrote this record and he wrote songs for those specific artists, right? So when you listen to the Billy Idol song, it makes sense, it works, right? And then you listen to the Corey Taylor song, and it sounds like it's a Corey Taylor song. And then you hear the Al Jurgensen song, it sounds like a Ministry song. And then the Ozzy song sounds like an Ozzy song. It's really hard to do that for one writer to be able to write those different styles of music and make it convincing. And he pulled that off. And to have a record with Steve Vai on, it's just insane. I'm the world's biggest Van Halen fan with David Lee Roth.
Oh,
Not a big
sure.
Sammy Hagar fan. And Eat 'Em and Smile is one of the greatest albums of all time, in my opinion. And Steve Vai is one of the greatest guitarists of all time. You could count him pretty much on your 5 fingers, right? The most influential guitarist. And Steve plays on this. And, it's incredible. It's an incredible lineup, incredible diversity, and the songs are great. I mean, he did an amazing job, all born out of the COVID pandemic. I guess he was sitting around and they got together and started jamming these songs. And you know what? If that's probably the only silver lining out of that entire fiasco, right? That one great record came. There's probably other great
We
records
all
came out
discovered
of this too.
Zoom, and we all had spare time.
Yeah, exactly. And he picked up his guitar and was able to call his friends and come out and make a great record.
Well, that is amazing, and I see TLG-ZOID as upcoming projects: Smile, Empty Soul, Gene Loves Jezebel, Stripping the Pistol, Aftermath, Radio Bot, who I have interviewed. This singer, our boy from Fuel, and World Fire Brigade, Disciplines of Verity, and Empires. So you guys are stacking up your roster. You got the Virgin Music Group, part of Universal, on your team. So definitely sounds like a lot of joy to come for music lovers.
No, it's great. It's a pretty stacked roster, and we're allowing the bands to write what they want to write. Back in the day, the A&R guy would dictate and tell you what to put on the record, what the sequencing would be in a lot of those cases. We believe that music should be created by the artist, and obviously we have a say in what artists we want to put on the label, right? But once we decide they're cool, we want the artist to write the music, man. We're not writers. I think we know what great music is. And I pride myself in that, having a long history of it. There's some great stuff coming out. That Stripping the Pistol that you mentioned, there's a song called Black Reflections, which is going to radio on Tuesday. And it was featured in a major motion picture called The Throwback that came out on March 15th. It was in theaters for a limited run, and then it's available on Apple TV, Amazon, and all the on demand. Then it's going to be on Stars. That song is that'll get you rocking, man. It's a great song, and they have some amazing music. The rest of the roster is also stacked with really cool stuff. We're excited, man. It's a really great time, in a sense, right, to be doing this. And what better way to start it than with an amazing project like the Morrison Project?
Yeah, go get that Billy Morrison album and get ready. More and more coming up. Loads of singles. It is the TLG-ZOID Entertainment.